What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? I got the speakers on and everything, man. This is hot. What you call it? Breaking news, breaking news. I cannot believe this. Another Diddy victim, allegedly, Diddy's victim. Allegedly. I gotta say allegedly because I'm not trying to say, we not trying to say we the ones that said that he did it and we believe him. But I believe him. You know what I'm saying? So allegedly, 𝗗𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, Sean, you got it going on, man. Your crew is hunting these people down. Yeah. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, man. This is, oh my God. Let's listen to this guy, Gilmore. The title is Diddy Survivor Live. DeWitt Gilmore versus Combs on Jay-Z and all that stuff, man. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I'm itching to get into this video. Let's check it out.
DeWitt Gilmore with him today, and oh boy, has he got a story to tell.
He getting ready, y'all.
In the description box, we've got his link tree down there. He's got a book out, The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me. So please support his work. He's got a YouTube channel as well. He's not put anything on it yet, but if you want to go and subscribe, I'm sure he's going to do something at some point in time. So firstly, huge thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm not a streamer, but I'm a dreamer.
There you go.
I actually have some 3,000 videos on YouTube. And during this passion project, I didn't know how to break through to reach people like you. So I would write in the comments, hey, I'm the author of, the Night Puff. I was just trying to get heard. I think that's what a lot of us want. We just want to be heard, and whether you right or wrong or indifferent. And they shut my account down, and so I had to start up brand new accounts on YouTube. But my videos, my 3,000 videos, are still out there under Relentless Aaron, which is my pen name. I'm a novelist. I've been writing books since the early 96. I was unfortunate. I caught a prison bid. Some guy brought some funny checks into my office, and he claimed to be an investor. And I didn't question it because he came through a friend. I had a successful magazine called The Superstar. It grew homegrown. It grew from local talent shows in New Rochelle and Mount Vernon, New York. I'm from Mount Vernon, but I transitioned to New Rochelle, which is the neighboring town.
Money earning Mount Vernon.
Note that Sean Combs is also originally from Mount Vernon. There's a famous baseball team picture of him on a team and I'm on a team. So, but and of course, there's a lot of mutual friends. So DJ Eddie F, who was Heavy D's DJ, was my DJ before he was Heavy's DJ. That just gives you some scope in this. R.I.P. Heavy D, and of course Heavy D and Diddy have history. So good and bad. So so that's me. I'm an entertainment entrepreneur from back in the day. I'm 59 years old. But I have evolved and pivoted through life and turned my lemons into lemonade. I'm very good at that. That should be a book title of mine, Lemons to Lemonade. And my little unfortunately, I was going to go to trial on that check thing, and I blew the trial. I was very cocky and cavalier and not the humble person that you need to be in the courtroom. We see all that now on all kinds of videos on YouTube. But for me, I was young and dumb, and I ended up doing time. And from day one, I was like, oh no, this is not going to be my life. And I started writing these poems and then songs. And then eventually I says, nah, I have to write something more substantial. And so that's when I started reading books like John Grisham and Sidney Sheldon and Elmore Leonard and Stephen King, and they taught me the game. Guy Johnson taught me the game. James Patterson taught me the game. And so I dissected their books, and one thing led to another. And before you know it, voila, I had my first novel. Took me a year to write. Then my second book took me 3 months, and now it takes me 2 weeks or less to write a book. So I have some 200 books now. I also have books with others. I write books for 50. I wrote a book for 50 Cent, called Derelict. I'm one of the original G Unit authors. I had a TV show called Superstar USA. I've met all of the big global superstars that you could name, from Prince to Michael Jackson and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And then unfortunately, with these devices that I've created, with this personality I've created, I've also met Diddy.
Hey guys, thank you for watching our videos. If you want to check out our live channel, the Music Recording Network Live, where we dive deeper into videos that we put up and talk about different things that's going on in the world. You can participate in our chat, or you can come on live. You don't even have to show your face. Go to our live channel, subscribe, voice your opinion, because we would like to hear from you and help us come up with solutions. Now, let's continue on with this video.
Right, before we get to the night in question, DeWitt, where Diddy tried to unalive you, you have said some of what your life was like before that, but, you know, how old were you around this time? What were you doing around that time before this happened? You know, were you in a good place?
Yeah, I was a young entrepreneur. I had a magazine going. The magazine was free. We were distributing it to Black-owned businesses because we were the underserved at the time. And we were, dropping them off at beauty salons, barbershops. And I was aligning small business owners with big business. So the big business happened to be record companies and happened to be movie companies. So they would pay the big dollars to be in the magazine, and the small people would pay $25 to be in the magazine, as little as. And so, yeah, that was my life. And I transitioned that to a TV show. And so I had the TV show going. We were in 2 million homes every week. And the magazine was going, and I was doing live shows. So I had like the trifecta as it relates to communication at the time. Today, the trifecta is Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. So, but at the time when we didn't have that, that was the trifecta. And that's what I managed by myself. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad, who lost his leg at age 17 on the baseball field, he was a superstar. This is all in the newspapers. You can actually go to newspapers.com and look up DeWitt Gilmore, and you'll see all this stuff. And he went and got a prosthesis and went back to the pitcher's mound. He went back to the pitcher's mound, and he was mowing down batters. He went on and he became a post worker. That means he was walking those streets with his prosthesis. He went on and he had a little candy store that turned into a delicatessen, that turned into 5 delicatessens, plus a liquor store, plus a laundromat, plus rental income properties, and a nightclub that turned into a very successful strip club known as Gilmore's. And so this was all in Mount Vernon. And I was dragged around like a fly on the wall through all of this. So I came up in royalty. I'm not saying it was like monetary royalty, because he didn't have the resources that we have today, right? He didn't have the fame or the popularity. But I was my dad, as I look back at him, I'm like, wow. Like 50 Cent got shot 9 times, but Mr. Gilmore, right, went around and with one leg, was the greatest show on earth. And so so you asked me how I was doing. That's how I was doing. I was like the son of, so yeah.
How did he almost lose his leg then? Or did he lose his leg, did you say?
He did lose his leg. They had to sever it below the knee for fear of gangrene, because they said it wrong in the cast from the baseball accident. He was coming around third, and he was sliding into home, and he tried to avoid the catcher, and in doing so, crack. And yeah, it's cringe. It's cringy. I'm so sorry, but you know, this aligns me. I'm so, when I see people out there with no arms and no legs, and I see people with one eye, or I see people with some sort of dysfunction, I understand. I understand the military. I understand your woes, because my dad was that guy, but he turned his lemons into lemonade. And that's who I am, Sean. I'm a man who turns his lemons into lemonade. I'm not a thug that runs around the street shooting up people. I'm not like, if you had to do what you had to do, and you didn't hurt anybody, and you were out there selling dope, okay, hey, I'm kumbaya. I'm that's your life. But my life was not that. My life was, I'm the super nerd now, but I was a nerd at the time. I'm a super nerd now. But that's all I did was work, and my work ethic, and that's who I am. Like, from the heart, that's who I am.
So on the night then that Diddy tried to unalive you, how did that day start for you?
Well, it's important to say how we met, right?
Yes.
Because Andre Harrell introduced us. I was a concert promoter back in the day at age 18 and 19. And the first big concert I had, I brought to my hometown, Mount Vernon. And Run DMC was my headliner, and the Fat Boys were also a headliner, and the Force MDs were also a headliner. But Russell Simmons was my business partner. And Andre Harrell and his buddy Andre, they were a group called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And Andre, I met him because of that concert. He got paid very little, like $150, but he was on my stage, and we became good friends. And I hired him on occasion, and also bought radio time through him, because he would sell radio time during the day. So he's an executive during the day, and he took that same executive suit and got on stage and performed as a rapper, very popular, good legend. So we're at the bar at Bentley's, my friend's nightclub, and we're talking, and Sean comes up and he says, "Hey, this is my intern, Puffy." So this is my very first time like meeting him officially, right? So I'm mad at Andre, right? But anyway, my very first time being introduced to Puffy, and we became business partners, because just like I'm doing with Andre, I'm resourceful. I'm turning this into something. We started doing, we started planning a basketball game that turned into a very popular basketball game, right? My game was to take place in New Rochelle, at New Rochelle High School. So I got the gymnasium, I had the radio station, which was Kiss FM, and we basically planned a basketball game as a charity fundraiser. But what Diddy did, I'm sorry, no pun. What Diddy did was he took my idea, and while I was so focused on my game, he was supposed to play on my team, because I would put the team together just for the purpose of the fundraiser. And what Diddy did was he took my idea and he scheduled a basketball game the day after inside sort of a neighboring town. And so basically we became ops. Like, he's the competition. And look, not for nothing, I wasn't mad at him, but I was like, how dare he? So that's how we started. And then I ended up on TV, Sean, because, I was a thought leader at the time, and I was outspoken. And Diddy, after those people got trampled and stampeded at CCNY, he went missing. And they looked for him, and they couldn't find. They didn't know who he was. Who's this Puff Daddy guy? And they called me. And I'm like, okay, so he's a party promoter. So tell us more. So I ended up on radio with Curtis Sliwa on ABC, on Curtis and Lisa in the morning. And then I ended up on the Richard Bey Show. And the Richard Bey Show had some legends on stage with me: Dougie Fresh, Sister Soldier, William Kunstler, very popular lawyer, and some victims' families from CCNY. And so I am actually sitting in Diddy's seat. You understand? Because I'm the glue that knows exactly what happened, why, how, etc. The rappers don't know. William Kunstler doesn't know, and the families don't know. So I'm there explaining all, and I'm telling them this is what happened. So basically that turned us into more enemies, so to speak. So there you go. That's sort of the backstory. And so 5 years later, I have my security in my passenger seat and my intern with me. And we're going to these businesses, Sean, picking up money from advertisers that advertise in the Superstar magazine, people that advertise in my publication. And we're going to beauty salons and barbershops and nightclubs and so on and so forth. And I'm picking up money. We don't have Cash App, Apple Pay, none of that stuff for all of you people in the comments who like to troll and, you just don't know. I'm here to give you the details. I'm sorry it's long-winded. That's what we do.
No. We like people to take as much time as possible, give as much detail, and don't cut any long stories short.
He said, Sean said, no. Yes, Sean, you right about that.
Long-winded. That's what we do.
No.
We like people to take as much time as possible, give as much detail, and don't cut any long stories short.
Awesome. Yes. And so thank you for that.
Sean.
So I can inhale. Because not for nothing, a lot of these shows or platforms I get on. I remember Good Morning America called me a few weeks ago. It was about a month now. And he called me one night. No, text me first. Hey, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. I know it's late, but we want to have you on the show. We don't have time in the block for an interview, but we'd like to showcase your book and your story. I'm like, our pig's pink. Of course you can. So I got on the phone with them. I'm looking at my lady. I'm like, babe, is this real? And it was real. So they said, hey, we love your story. You're already in our ecosystem, because I had been on ABC World News for my book writing. And so, they put me on. The next morning, I was like, my face. But it was, with ABC News, it's a serious entity. They have to fact check. They have to do all these things. And so, so anyway, the point is that I'm appreciative of your platform, because it gives that time to inhale and to breathe and to give the details. And so that day, I meet a guy in Harlem on the way downtown, and he's giving out these Death Row T-shirts, because they're wanting to start what they call Death Row East. And I am not affiliated with Death Row or Suge Knight or anything that's going on the West Coast. Hip hop, yes. I raised a lot of these cats. Like I said, DJ Eddie F was my DJ before. And I told you, Andre Harrell and I did business. And of course, Russell Simmons and I did business. But I'm not the guy in the credits on the records. I'm not the guy, that's getting royalties. I'm the guy that owns his own and kind of sort of built, like I say, from the ground up, And so I threw the T-shirt on, sure, oh, don't pay me nothing. I'll wear it. I'm supportive of unity. They wanted to unify the East Coast and the West Coast. That's what their story was. But of course, they want to make money. So I wear the T-shirt. I become a poster boy that night. And I basically, me and Lance and my intern, we head down to, and by the way, the intern's name was Rico. I have been in touch with him. I don't know where he is. He could not be alive for all I know. I don't know. God bless him if you're out there, because this is your story too, sir. Not for nothing, but your life was in jeopardy, just like Lance's life and mine. It's not, I know the night Puff tried to me, but it's us, okay? I did that because I'm a book writer. I know what a catchy title is. You understand? So anyway, we go now down to the last stop, which is a club called Downtime in Manhattan. And my buddy DJ Red Alert is playing that night at the club. And so
Red
they let
Alert,
us in front of
shout
the
out.
line, Sean. It's a promoter's respect. They let you in front of the line. You go in, you're a promoter. We got you. You come in, and you're now promoting to this club full of people for an hour. And I leave the club. I have magazines in hand, the whole thing. Nobody wants a magazine while they're partying, but hey, I'm not thinking that way. An hour later, we leave the club, and the street, which initially was bare, is now booming like a party outside, because the folks can't get inside. The club's already sold out. The marshals at the door saying no more people in unless people could come out. But people don't care. They had party in the street. There's cars. There's music. It's 1 o'clock in the morning now, and so we come out of the exit, and we head across the street. I'm driving in a Isuzu Trooper. It's parked across the street. I can see it. It's not far. And we go in the car. I get in the driver's seat. Lance is in the passenger seat. And the intern, Rico, is in the back. And Puffy pulls up, but he's in the passenger seat, Sean. And his bodyguard, Wolf, is driving. And they pull up to Rico first because there's windows down. It's a summer night. We have to put the windows down. And he says, "What's up?" And Rico goes, "What's up?" Everybody knows who Puffy was at least these circles. I mean, he was very popular at the time. He had already been a dancer. He'd already had Biggie. He already had Jodeci. He already had Mary. Like, he was popping in these streets, as they say.
Right.
So, and making money.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what year was it?
This was 96.
Yeah.
This was 96.
Yeah.
So, for all you fact checkers,
he was big.
That had come out prior
Puff was
to
the
96,
man.
You'll see that. Yes, he was very popular.
Up and down
Why
the East Coast.
Up to us, I'm telling you, Sean, it was a mix of me being Gilmore and me wearing that T-shirt, and also our backstory, me being on stage when they couldn't find him. And by the way, I wasn't on that TV show saying, "Oh, Diddy's this or Puffy's this and Puff." No, I wasn't. I was just telling them what it is to promote a concert, a party, etc. Things they didn't know, Sean. You understand? Things you might learn. You undoubtedly are learning things right now that you've never known before about Sean Combs, about Diddy, and about DeWitt Gilmore, right? And so that's what I did on the Richard Bay show. But still. He was clearly upset at me. Now, mind you, I told you there was 5 years that transpired between CCNY and this night that Puff tried to kill me. Okay.
Had you interacted with him over those 5 years?
That's what it's important to say as well. So there was a number of times that we had run-ins, but they weren't kind. For instance, I told you I was a party promoter. And on one particular night, people like Mike Tyson in my party, people like, just very popular people. I don't have to name drop.
Right.
But the marshal was at the door. That I'm gonna say that, and you all understand. When I say the marshal, that should be a book title. When I say the marshal is at the door, that means no more people are coming in and less people are coming out. And I had very successful, popular, very filled parties. And he came to the door at one of my parties, and he was trying to come in, and they called me to the door because they couldn't let him in. Like, maybe I was the guy with the juice. Of course I was. It was my party. Puffy comes, and he's got 10 people with him. If he was alone, maybe. But I can't let you in, bro. And I make a U-turn and go back in my party. Like, like the kids say, the fuck, right? Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you're disrespectful. You come in with 10 people, and second of all, like, do you remember this face? So anyway, I didn't say all of that, Sean. I'm telling you that things that popped in my head. But he left, no problem. He comes again to another event of mine, again sold out, but this time times 3. It's a big event at my dad's strip club. We have a big name porn star there, and their guys are lined up for a whole block, 4 men deep. And we're not letting anybody in unless we let people out. In fact, we're clearing the club 3 times for the night because we want to maximize on the entertainer. They're paying $25 and $30 a person to come into my event, which is nothing today, but at the time was a big ticket. And he comes again, and he wants to get in with his 10 people. Are you kidding me, bro? Like, number one, when you come in, we're supposed to let you in free as a promoter, respect, as an entertainer. You're a name, you're a big name. But no, bro, I can't let you in. And so I turned him away again. And then the third time that I saw him, we were at the Palladium, and I was invited to film Party and Bullshit. It was a live performance with Biggie and Pac. And I was behind the stage. You know, you meet the entertainers. Francesca Spiro, God bless her, she's passed. She was putting it all together. Very good friend of mine, and I'm on stage filming. But during that event, I'm walking along the floor, the sort of the dance floor. There's a mob of people in there, but me and Puff pass each other. He doesn't have security. It's just him passing me. And I'm like, Puff, let's let bygones be bygones, bro. Like, we're going to continue to see each other. Like, I'm in these spaces. I didn't say all of that, but I did say, let's let bygones be bygones. And he's like kind of waved me off, like, F you. And then he turned around and he said, hey, come here. And I did. And we kind of like buddied out. And it's like, I guess that was supposed to kill it all. Sean, at that moment, I was like, okay, I guess we're cool now. Right? We kind of shook hands and gave the homeboy hug, and that was it. But clearly not, because on this night that I was coming out of the nightclub, he pulls up, he says, "What's up, Tarico?" And then he pulls up a little further. And by the way, when I say he pulls up, he wasn't at the steering wheel, folks. I know in London they drive on the passenger side, but not tonight. His bodyguard was taking his orders. And he was in the passenger seat, which says a lot of other things, Sean. Who was in power if the bodyguard first pulls up to the back window and then pulls up to the front? Or either the bodyguard was just clairvoyant and saying, okay, let me just pull up to the back window. No, he was taking orders. So he basically, he pulled up to my window and he sees Lance and he kind of gives a nod. I guess they're kind of scoping things out, like who is with him. And then Lance kind of he doesn't give a F. He's here for me. Lance is there for me. And then he says to me, "What's up, bitch?" And not for nothing, but he was like about 2 or 3 feet from me, because the car just kind of pulled right up and kind of parked. There's a car before me and a car after me, so I'm blocked in. And then I can't wiggle out of the space. By the way, we just got in the truck. And a moment later he pulls up. I just need y'all to see like how this looks. There's a party in the street. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. They got music bouncing from cars. He's in a convertible sports car, very expensive convertible sports car. And he pulls up like, "What's up, bitch?" Like what you want to do, or, whatever, was in his mind. But as I said, I feel like what triggered him was the Death Row East t-shirt, my face, my seemed power. And it seemed power. Let's be clear. Yeah, I had a bodyguard, but I wasn't popping or popular. I was carrying money. Lance was there for a reason. Like, no, I was a wiry black 20-something-year-old with pockets of money, thinking the world is mine, with an intern and a bodyguard. Like, who the F he think he is, right? So that, and then our back history, Puffy becoming I think he was Sean Combs. He was Puff Daddy or P Diddy. I'm trying to go through the name changes. He was Puffy when I first met him, but by now he was Sean Puff Daddy. He was Puff Daddy. He's Puffy, now he's Puff Daddy. And okay. So yeah, what's up, bitch? And I'm like, this is me. Look, bro, I don't want nothing to do with you. We know that you're drama. We know you're a troublemaker. Like, bro, not for nothing, Sean. Look, your name's Sean too. This is really twisted. So Sean, I'm nothing. I'm trying to go home for the night. we had a busy day collecting money. I'm just trying to go home. And, I wasn't even in the club partying, bro. I was in the club doing business. This was business. This was a business night. And so, nah, you're a bitch. That's what he says. And I'm like, all right, look, if I'm a bitch, show me I'm a bitch. Whatever. What are you going to do? And so he looks over at his bodyguard. He's like, all right, whatever. The paraphrasing was, they backed the car up. And that's when I figured, okay, it's over. He's just talking shit. And he backs the car up, and I wiggle out of the parking space. And now I'm on my way home. We pull up to a traffic light, and Lance says, hey, he's behind you.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so I'm like, I shrug. I'm like, okay, well, I'm in a vehicle. He ain't doing nothing to me. I'm minding my business, whatever. And then so the light changes. I make a left turn, and now I'm in Herald Square. Now, for you and for those of you who have global, who are, Herald Square is where the Macy's Day Parade takes place every year. You probably have seen it every year for decades. But this night at 1 a.m, before social media or cameras in the sky, this was a empty sort of parking lot, really. And so I'm pulling up to about to approach Herald Square, and their sports car forces me off the road onto an embankment. And so now my Jeep is like sideways on an embankment. And Lance jumps out and I jump out. And I guess this is gonna be a fight, like a one-on-one. What's going on here? So the adrenaline's rushing, but at that precise moment, we realize he's not alone. It's his car and 4 other vehicles that have ambushed us. And it was like split seconds and please ask me any questions you want. I don't care, from the comments, Sean, I'm there in this moment for you. No other reason. I don't give a fuck about a book. I mean, none of that. I get out of the truck. Lance gets out of the truck, and we realize we're not alone. Puffy, Diddy, and his bodyguard get out of their car, and that's when we hear pop, pop, and at the same time, Lance, gun, and I jump like we never connected. We were never 1 or 2 feet away from each other. It was just like everything happened so quickly. I jumped back in the car. Lance jumped back in the car, and now it's a car chase. And for the life of me, I've said this before, I feel like God stepped in, because there was no winning. It wasn't 4 cars and 4 people. It was 4 cars and 12 people. We were either going to get stomped out or shot up, and nobody would know. Nobody would know. Nobody from this year, this generation, last generation, like almost 30 years have passed. 2 children that I've sired. I'm at 200 books now, movie deals, like none of that would transpire if that night would have worked out the way Sean Combs dictated it. Like he was living his life like a movie. I'm the bad guy and nobody else matters. All you others are are the others in the room. But at that moment, he was playing Grand Theft Auto with my life. And now these cars are chasing me down a one-way on a sidewalk around other cars because there was some traffic out there that night. We're way past Macy's and Herald Square. Now I'm fighting for my effing life. I'm like, what the F is going on? Sean, like, I've been in the military, the Marine Corps, where we take it apart M16s and put it in the battle, clack, clack, in 1 minute. And this night trumps that by 1,000. Like, nothing I've ever experienced in my life matches these moments. The gunshots, the fucking, the goons, none of it. And I bet none of it matched his life. He created this shit. He created it, whether it was a random act of violence or he dreamed it up every night for 5 years, which I doubt. This is a guy that just plays life like it's Russian roulette or like it's a crap roll. This is what he was doing with my life and Lance's life and Rico's life that night. And had I not probably been in a Jeep, probably would have rolled over or probably got smashed by another vehicle. Like the way I got away from this dude was that I ran a red light with an 18-wheeler coming and leaving them behind. This was a high-speed chase that came out of being shot at, that came out of some cursing, that came out of me knowing you or me being on television, that came out of Andre Harrell introducing us at a nightclub. Like that was, the entryway to my life and the lives of 2 others being threatened. Like, who could have planned that? I wasn't a troublemaker. He was the troublemaker. I wasn't like the big, popular, poppin' celebrity with the money and the hits and the notoriety. He was. But also, I wasn't the guy with the guys with the guns and the power. I wasn't the guy. So I was vying for my life that night. And again, just at the steering wheel, there was one point Lance pulled the steering wheel to get me from crashing. I don't know if it was a hydrant or whatever. And again, we ran a light. And my immediate thought, with all of the, anxiety going, look, this is very fitting. I've never done an interview like this in a car. But it's very fitting because those moments that pass full of rage and hostility and anxiety and pent-up aggression and like we weren't thinking let's go to the police station. We were thinking where Lance carries. He's licensed to carry. He wasn't carrying that night. He didn't have a reason to. All we were doing was picking up money. We never got attacked for picking up money. Nobody even knew we were out there picking up money. So my first intent was street justice. I wasn't thinking about going to the police station at all. Like I did not deserve. We did not deserve what happened that night. We did not deserve it. I did not do anything like except for being a guy on TV or being a guy, that turns you away from a nightclub, whatever fictions you want to create in your mind, Diddy. You had no right to put our lives in harm's way that night. You had no right. Like that's not being human. That doesn't fit with procreation. That fits with being a menace to society. That fits with being the devil that you've become all these years that transpired after that, all the things that you've done to people. Yeah, there are some people that are probably trying to profiteer and opportunist and all these things. They know you're locked up and you can't fight for whatever. I don't care about that. I care about the victims, but I don't care about the others. I just know our story. And my story matches everybody else's story. You playing movie star with other people's lives. You playing the big bad guy, which you weren't. You were a coward with backup, with money and the I guess the inclination and the intent to do what you want in life with other people as your pawns. That's who you are, Diddy. And so that's what, Sean, that's what happened that night. Again, I'm open to any questions. You know, generally, like, these interviews go down and people put questions in the comments, and you're welcome to ask them now, because I'm here to answer them, instead of you guessing why you waited 30 years or guessing why you didn't shoot back at him, or why, whatever hysteria is going on in your minds. I can't answer them after, because there's too many of you. But I'm fine to answer them, respectfully. Just like I'm a human being like you. Y'all got blood running through your veins, so do I. I'm not any more special. Like, I'm a guy that, again, turns lemons into lemonade, come from a family of entrepreneurs who just, I have a strong work ethic. That's what puts me here. That's what keeps me here. That's what, and I have a passion. And that's what puts me here today. My passion for life.
Yes.
Because I matter. I might not have mattered to you that night, but me, Lance, Rico, we mattered. We matter now, we matter then. Yeah, there's no right to do what took place.
DeWitt, this is absolutely breathtaking, and I understand the trauma of it as well. We've had questions coming in for you since yesterday, so there's tons of questions, but I'm still not finished with you yet, because there's still a bit more I'd like to get into.
Wow.
I'm not done with you yet.
So,
and I'm clear because this last 48 hours is crazy. What's going on with Jay? And oh my God, please ask the questions.
Yeah, we're going to get to your thoughts on Jay. We're going to get to your thoughts on DeGeneres, the Kardashians, J-Lo, Natanya's story, all that stuff. But firstly, let's just go back to your story, and let's finish that. So, when the 4 cars surrounded you, in your head, then, did you perceive something really heavy was about to go down?
So we didn't know the cars were there until the gunshots, until we got out of the vehicles, until we got out of the vehicle, did I realize there were other that he wasn't alone. So I know I didn't know there were other cars. I probably would have never gotten out of the vehicle, because my life was in yeah, there's no winning. I'm clear about, like, it's fight or flee. Kenny Rogers has a famous song. You know when to hold, know when to fold, know when to walk away, know when to run. That was run. That was run.
All right, so there was a situation, and then you guys took off, and then there was a shoot. That's when they shot at you, or did they shoot at you earlier as well?
No, they shot at us when we were out of the vehicle. That all happened in quick time, right there when we got out, not when we were in the vehicle. One of the bullets hit the vehicle. So it wasn't like, it was only 2 shots. It was just like, but they sound like firecrackers at the time. So my head was rushing, but Lance with the gun, he's more like, this is his life, because, he's security. That's what he does. So I met Lance. He was the security for my dad's strip club. My dad had a number of security guards for his club. He's a very popular strip club, Gilmore's in the Bronx. And so Lance, we became friends, and,
Yeah, so the most intense thing I ever went through, one of them was when the SWAT team came for me on my ecstasy case, and you see them open out, all fan out with the guns, screaming at you, and my adrenaline was so high I couldn't sleep for days. But they hadn't fired at me. I mean, when they start firing at you, what's that like? How intense is that?
Wow.
Yes. I've also had the Secret Service kicking in my doors. So yes, I get it. It caught me by surprise, total surprise. It's a random act of violence, man. I'm just so glad I survived. I like, yo, bro, why? I told you, it was just randomness, but just not being hit and not being stomped out and not crashing. Those are the things that I slept with for a long time. So when you said how was that? Yeah, it was a adrenaline rush. I was in street mode. Like I said, I'm not a street dude. I wasn't selling drugs or even hanging out on street corners. I was really focused on progress. Magazine, TV show, live shows, those things. But this moment flipped my switch. We weren't saying, "Oh God, let's go to the police station. Let's take these license plate numbers down." No. We were Misa. God bless her. She's good person. I see her in the press, but she lived on our street, my street in New Rochelle, on Main Street. Excuse me, North Avenue, and not a mile away. And I knew Sean to drop his kids off and pick them up at her place. I've seen that, and I had access. So for me, I was thinking retaliation, Mr. Atwood. This is just, if you could do this to me at 1 a.m. and almost wipe me out. But Lance settled me. He took the car, he took the truck. Look, I'm gonna go get this cleaned up. Just stay low. We didn't know what to think. We were thinking, how long have they been following us? Like Lance was really into this militant thing. Like, how long have they been following us? He went and followed these. He went and got at these cars, these license plates, because the day after or 2 days after, Combs was honored at the Copacabana, which is also my friend's club, by the way. And he was being honored with some kind of award. And you could research this, and he had the same crew with him, and so Lance went out there and he took down license plate numbers. He was on some, detective shit.
Dick Tracy.
But I was scared in the house, I guess, trying to plot and plan how I was going to retaliate. But thank God I never did. Thank God. How I retaliated was I wrote a book.
Well done.
I wrote 2 books. One was sold to 50 Cent. It's called Derelict. And if anybody is a reader and you read that, you'll see all of the elements in this came out in 2003 when I signed that deal. I'm one of the original G-Unit authors. But only recently, that's under Relentless Aaron, my pen name. But only recently did I drop The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me, which is a memoir in my own birth name. And it was important for me to drop this book, my 111th book. It was very important for me to drop this book in my name because I had to be factual. It was a memoir. Memoirs are true stories. So this book is detailed. It goes into all of the nuances and everything, and even the post conversation, like what if, and the what ifs. What if I got hit that night? There's a lot of what ifs here. What if Lance got hit? What if the truck tumbled when we were trying to get away, and all those things? What if? Will his life be different? Look at what happened. There's parallels that you draw to Shine, and to Shine being thrown under the bus, and me. So
yeah. So what I'm gauging here then is we've got the shooting, and your adrenaline just goes off the scale. then you're a young man, testosterone fueled. You're thinking, you know, we got to hit them back. We got to do something, stand up for ourselves. But then that calms down. That adrenaline's calming down, and then you probably just go into some form of a relief that you're still alive, perhaps.
Yeah, and sleeping with it for decades. You know, sleeping with it. And seeing him rise and rise and rise, his money rise, his hits rise, his popularity rises. You kind of don't want to say anything. You're just kind of waiting for his missteps. You're kind of waiting for the window that you can say something, like when you could raise your hand. Oh, it's not unlike anything that I've ever been through. Just to sleep with that and go through shakes at night and to relive those moments. It's not unlike anything I've ever. Well, I mean, like again, some Marine Corps stuff. I didn't serve, like go overseas, and I wasn't shot at out there, so I didn't go through that. But just in boot camp, just like some traumatic stuff in boot camp. So I've never. This is the most traumatic thing that's ever happened in my life, Sean. So yeah, I slept with it and shouldered it and had the shakes at night, and yeah. I agree. Like all of those things, and I feel for any victim that's been through the body to body activity with this dude, and the stuff that he's done to them when they're unawares, So I had all my coherence, and I'm still going nuts. I'm like, to this day, I'm feeling, when I was telling the story, it brings up those, memories. It's crazy. I'm just glad I lived.
All right. So as you're seeing the ups and downs of Diddy's career trajectory over the years, we've got the situation with Natanya Rubin in the nightclub. Wonderful woman, so brave, such a powerful speaker like yourself. She's been on here, described getting shot in the face, the trajectory of the bullet. When you saw this hit the news, did it bring things back to you from your night of almost getting?
Let me say this, is that so in 1996, near that time, the same time, was when I got arrested. I told you I did some time, and so I did. I blew trial and ended up doing 7 years in prison, and so I was in prison. So you don't really you have a different reality in there. You had the TV or the movies or whatever, but I wasn't a guy watching the news like that.
Just to let y'all know, Sean has did some time also, so both of them did time. Me personally, I'm allergic to jail, so I ain't done nothing. So these stories are very interesting to me.
I heard about it, of course, and I was in New Jersey, one of the biggest notorious prisons, Fort Dix in New Jersey. I was in a bunch of other prisons before I got there, but Fort Dix is where I ended up laying my head and getting settled. And during that time, I saw of course I heard and saw newspapers and news, but I wasn't on top of it like that. Of course I know all about it now because I've been on other shows, and Natanya was there at one of the shows I interviewed at. And
resume. Sorry, y'all. Sometimes we get some interruptions that I gotta take.
I've been on other shows, and Natanya was there at one of the shows I interviewed at, and she was shaken from my story, and we were both teary eyed, and we hugged, and she realized that I was a writer, and we actually signed an agreement to write her book. And we had some creative differences, so we sort of had a little falling out, and I had to pull away because, and maybe it's me. She says, "Oh, you need to take your sensitive pants off and put on those Brooklyn, but the way she said it, it just like it didn't fit well with me as an artist, so I had to kind of back away. And but that incident that we had is trumped by her. Being one of his victims, and she sat with me and she told me the story, and and right at our contract signing, we sat for a few hours. And sitting with 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦, it opens up my wounds, but I got to feel what the burn was like when the bullet hit her face. I got to feel the power of her presence, because the 1-inch heels she wore that were the life or death between her, passing away or being saved, between the bullet hitting her nose versus her skull, is powerful. They're powerful. I don't think people understand that. I don't think the trolls care. They want to know, what's spicy, what's sex, they want. But look, yeah, I was one of the first victims of his, but 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦 is probably the most traumatic. I mean, nobody can weigh anybody's, you got they call it derugged by him, and a train. That is beyond my imagination. I'm grateful never been in that situation, but I can imagine. But that pain that she had is different. It's a different pain. It's your life is being held by a thread. You're on the gurney in the operating room. You're not on the gurney in the operating room after a gang, grape, right? But you're on the gurney. You're waiting for doctors to see you. You're in the wrong hospital in the first place. Then you finally are brought to the right hospital.
Wow.
And it's weird what's happened with her. But it's powerful at the same time. All of the reasons why she shouldn't have made it, but then did, aligns me with her story, whether we get along or not. The point is that that's when we first met. And so what happened to her, yes, I am still like 10 toes down for her. I'm like 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦 all day, because like all these other victims that have come through the years, she was one of the first. I was one of the first. I came a few years before. I was in 96. She was in 2001. Was it right? 2001, New York Club, New York, 1999, 2001, somewhere in there. And then she's got to live with that all her life, breathing issues. And do you know how hard it is to heal the insides of your body? Like the scabs, the scars that grow inside of your nostrils in order to breathe, in order to sleep at night, in order to keep a man. I mean, like all of the things. So this man deserves to burn for what he did to her, what he did to me, what he did to the Cassies of the world. And thank God for Cassie for opening up this Pandora's box, because there's no way I would be talking to you right now about this. Maybe later on my deathbed or something. When do you get the window to tell your story? Even 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦, she's been telling her story for decades and nobody's listening. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody cares. But now you care. Now you care. So can you imagine how that might feel to somebody like her? But I'm sure she's resolved that, and now she's getting the grace and the presence that she's deserved. She was on TMZ. Like, what more you want? So I mean, you're already on the biggest channels.
You may be the only other person in the world, or closest to, or the group of few, who were almost what happened to 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦. You were one step away
from being
that
erased.
bullet hitting you.
Yep.
Which really bonds you with 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦, the two stories.
Yeah. God bless. God bless all of the victims who have survived this dude and his money and his influence and his power. But none of that matters now. None of it. Like, he's never leaving prison. That was me, Sean, out there yelling at the courthouse, at the lawyer. Like, your client is a predator. He's a monster. Wait, hold on. You all heard this on Associated Press, because it was a shot rang around the world. The audacity of somebody that would say, I yelled, hey, Your client is a predator and a monster. He's never leaving prison. I'm going to keep my foot on his neck. Tell him Gilmore said so. That's me. That's me. And I meant it. And I don't care who believes or who.
Wow. I remember we did a reaction to that video, and you can hear somebody in the background yelling, and it was him. I remember that. I wish I can find the video and everything, but you know, we do live straight first time reactions. And I remember I said, somebody don't like him. Somebody was yelling, same voice. How does it feel? Your husband, your son. That's what he said. How does it? Your son is something negative. He said about the son, because and the person that's yelling it, just letting y'all know when y'all hear this, what makes you think they don't have firsthand knowledge of what he's yelling? You think he just saying that just to be saying it? They out there yelling it. That means, yo, I don't care what anybody say. I'm not going to back down on this because he is bad. That's what he's saying, allegedly, right? Golly, man.
Gilmore said so.
Gilmore said so.
That's me. And I meant it. And I don't care who believes or who doesn't believe. I don't care if you're a fan of his. If you just hop around, I don't care. I'm sorry. Find another hero. But this guy is nobody's hero. He's like, you know what, Sean, through life, we have grown to love the enemy, because they do it in the Marvel. They build you up to love the enemy, the Joker. You know, they build you up to love his backstory, and so it's desensitized us, you know, to the real dangerous devils in life. But okay, never mind me, but Natanya deserved not just the money that she got that day, but see, a lot of times people go through insurance and court and everything, but they don't account for what's going on 10 and 20 years from now, and the health issues and the headaches and all the things that you have to go through. Like, there's no way to end the headache unless you're taking all these pills, and she's not that type of person. She doesn't do that, right? She doesn't take all these pills. So like, how do you deal with the headaches? Like, these are things you don't want to live. So like, they don't account for those things, Sean, into the future. So like, these are the problems that this man has caused. Not just that, but then I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I don't know what you've done to other people. I hear it. I can't wait to hear it in court. I believe the victims. You know what? I believe the victims, even much more so, because they were given those hallucinogens, I'll call them, because those hallucinogens help you hallucinate. I believe that something might have happened to this girl that says that she was at the limo driver and Radio City, but I believe it could have been Harvey Pierre. That she was a white woman, because I see her skin color on the latest news. So you're a white girl, age 13, that you're not really in the know. You tell us that because you approach limo drivers. So that tells me who you are in the first place. You don't know anybody. You can't make a phone call. So therefore, you're naive to the ways of the world, because everybody's even saying, like, who does that? Who approaches limo drivers? It's brilliant in terms of getting behind, but how now in hindsight is it really right? But so that tells me who you were then. So you're a little naive. You're and then you're derugged, right? So now you got all that going for you, which is all negatives, by the way. And now I believe you're hallucinating about what happened to you. You don't know all the facts, and yeah, you know, Busby might believe you and all that, but even he doesn't know if it's Harvey Pierre, because as far as I'm concerned, you give me all of those things and you put them in my body, I think Harvey Pierre looks like Jay-Z too. But Jay-Z doesn't have any history of doing this to women. Sorry, you can't even create it with your AI pictures and video. Sorry,
Wow.
but Jay-Z pushing a woman out of the way is not great for me. Sorry. So if you're a hip hop star and you've gone through decades of success, Sean, and you don't have any dark matter except a court case here and a court case there that are not domestic in nature, sorry, but for me, you're not the boy behaving badly. You're not the derelict of society that we've seen. We've seen them in sports. We've seen them in entertainment. We've seen them. I mean, like even Pee-wee Herman. Yeah, right. Pee-wee Herman did not grape anybody, but he's in the perv section of the classroom, right? So we never seen Jay-Z in a perv section of the classroom. So I'm sorry, but nothing you all say can push him in that element. So it's interesting to see how this is turning out. But the point is that a lot of these folks, you know, are loose nuts going into the game. They're loose nuts going into the game. They've been at the parties. They were lured by celebritydom, so fans, like there's a lot of fans. They'll do whatever they can to get into people's good graces or to into these circles. And I wasn't that dude. So I wasn't that dude. I was a self-starter, a player on the field. I wasn't a spectator. But not for nothing, folks. You're trying to get into these parties. You're a spectator to some degree. So we're already putting you in a different energy. Not to say you're a bad person. I'm just saying you're in a different space. You're trying to get a come up. You know what I mean? You haven't been recognized for your gifts yet. Not to say that you don't have the gift, but now that you're in this space where nobody can question, because it's his word against yours. Nobody can question whether you really were there or not. Now the public has got to be the conscious consumer. Even you, Sean, you got to be the conscious. And that's why I respect you even taking time, or any of these streamers taking time to get to know people instead of just quickly bringing them on, because your brand is in question, right? When these things happen. So you have to even frame them correctly and whatnot. So I give you, boy, we can talk, can't we?
All right, so let me just recap for the thousands of people who are watching live right now.
Oh, wow.
If you've just tuned in, and with DeWitt, we've done what led up to the night in question. On the night in question, Puff tried to unalive him. We've covered that. In the aftermath, he had an emotional reaction, thinking about doing something, but then he was just glad he was still alive. He gets caught up in a case, goes off to prison for 7 years. So let's get into that section now. What was it like? The court process. Did you fight the case? How did all that work out?
So this guy that brought these checks to my office came to me through a very good friend, In fact, we're friends to this day. I'm responsible for introducing him to a woman who brought a child in the world by him. So we're really good friends. So, but he introduced me to somebody that brought these checks into my office, and I'm just being honest. Like he got into the nervous system of my business, because your business is run by banks. Like you make deposits, and there's some checks and clearances, checks and balances, and then there's you have the money that comes in and the money that goes out. And so if you put false money in there and you make it seem like there's money in there, and then you leverage that's what they call illegal. But I did that unbeknownst to me with a few $100,000 in checks. And so when that money was put in my account, I was like, okay, we got the investment capital, let's go. And so computers and radio time, like all of these dreams that you have as a business entrepreneur, as entertainment entrepreneur, with my magazine, with my TV show, with my live shows, it was green light, everything, firm, go. And then when the detectives call and say, hey, you know, these checks were bad, sir. Who gave them to you? And, you know, how did, you know? And now in 96, I'm put in a space like, do I snitch? You know, and so what I did is the statute of limitations is gone on this. I lied. And I says, John Doe, I'm making this name up. John Doe gave me the checks. And yeah, he contacted me by, you know, he reached out, he walked in my office. I didn't tell him the friend that introduced us. I just lied. As the first time I was put in that position. And I just lied. I didn't, you know, this whole no snitching thing was like really like a thing, because at the end of the day, I did benefit from these checks. There was things I had to give back, computers I had to give back, things like that. But there, you can't give radio time back. You know, I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on radio time all of a sudden, and you can't get that money back. So the money that I got from the banks, it was a total investment in my company, and the artists that I hired some artists to perform for me. You know, artists cost tens of thousands of dollars, and I had the money, so I just paid the artists. So like, you know, so I'm saying that to say that I was guilty. Just guilty. And I tried to go to trial, and then they brought one of my interns in the office, not the intern that was with me that night, but one of these girls that I brought in that was working in the office consistently. And she was so, and just to give you the idea of who this is, she was so green. And she auditioned for me to be an intern for me. And then thank God I wasn't into the casting couch, folks. But when she came into my office and, oh, I want to work for you. Oh my God. She sang for me. You want to be my assistant and you're singing for me. That's weird. That's a weird, like today we would call that creepy. We would, so but she did have some skills. She was cute. She had a body on her. She's going to look good in my front office. Okay, yeah. And you want to work with me, not get paid? Hey, I'm with it. You want to be near the celebrities? I'm with it. So she worked for me. But then later when I caught these charges, the prosecutors brought her in. They walked her into the courtroom. And they asked her questions that there was no way that she would know the answers to. Like, okay, so Mr. Gilmore had a magazine, and do you know how he distributed this magazine? Do you know how many paid, things like that. He's asking like detailed questions that she would not know. Oh no, it was all a front. It was all a front. Like she literally, like, whether they told her things to say or they coached her or groomed her, is I'm gonna leave it at where it is. But I'm saying I believe she was groomed. She went on the witness stand, and she wasn't my intern anymore. She was the FBI's intern, the Secret Service's intern. She was their intern now. That's when I was like, I give up. I plead guilty. I changed my plea, and that was it. I'm not doing this. They were going to hang me. They were talking about 25 years and $1.5 million in fraud. They were throwing the book at me. So I just pled guilty, and I got locked up that day. I remember they didn't even give me bail. Well, they gave me bail initially, and then when I pled guilty, they rescinded my bail, and that was it. I didn't see society for 7 years, and so but in prison it was a gift. It was a blessing, because like I said, I wrote these books, and I wouldn't have the discipline to sit still if I was in the streets. Remember, I was going through the Diddy shit. I probably wouldn't have lived through that, or he wouldn't have lived, or somebody would have got hurt, or somebody would have ended up in prison for much more time than I got. And so I'm so glad I got swept off the streets. I literally got swept off out of society, not to be seen again for 7 years. And so, that's how that went. And the prison time was spent studiously researching and studying and mastering my craft and mastering writing and being John Grisham, Sidney Sheldon, Elmore Leonard, and Guy Johnson all in one. And yes, when I came home, I got a $250,000 book deal, 14-book deal, never been done in history, debut book deal. Then I got a sidekick deal with 50 Cent.
Wow, that's good. That's good. We're gonna cut it here. We try our best to keep our videos 1 hour long, 1 hour and 15 minutes. We had the D. Gilmore. Man, one of the things that he's talking about, because I ran a recording studio for years. I ran a recording studio full time, and that's when I started getting beside myself. I thought I was the man. You know, we trying to do music like Bad Boy. So this is why all this is so close to me and so amazing to me, man, because my little producers and my engineers and people that was working with me, we was trying our best to be like Bad Boy and Death Row and all these record labels and stuff. Never even knew that they were doing so much negativity. I can't believe you. I cannot believe this man's story. I mean, I believe his story, but I'm saying that I can't believe all this stuff is happening. And I wanted to be like you. That's terrible. So I remember getting bounced checks from people. You dealing with the person's the true people that's recording at your studio, and they paying with checks. I don't take checks. Yeah, but some people paying with checks and they legit, they cool people. Then some people that sometimes they cool, but then they check a bounce. Yeah. And then you got somebody that's got these fake checks. I remember $2,000 or $3,000 went to my bank account, and I'm ready to pay some bills and do some things. Then all of a sudden, my bank account is in the negative. They took the money away. So I know what he's talking about. Thank God I wasn't on them big levels. We talking $2,000. You know, 2 more weeks, I got that covered in my studio. We got to work hard. But we went to court. FBI agents come and ask me questions. I'm like, and I didn't want to snitch on the person, just like he said. I didn't want to snitch. I said, man, there's all kinds of people coming in. Luckily for me, I had a nice track record of all these checks. Some people checks bounced, and then they went on and made them good, made the check good. So there's all kinds of check things going on. They looked all up and down my bank account. And I'm like, man, I don't know who did this. I don't know the guys, but here's the name. You know, I got engineers that work for me. So maybe they work with another engineer. I don't know. So my story was believable where I didn't go to jail. And I was like, man, I'm trying to help y'all catch these people because that's bad. I'm the one I lost $2,000 I had to replace, like he was saying, taking the computers and stuff back. So I'm just letting y'all know the parallel and how this stuff relates to me, man. God dang. Look here, y'all stay tuned for part 2. Y'all stay tuned for part 2, man, because this is nowhere near finished, man. I can't wait to finish it myself. So y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Echo. Peace out.